In 2025, I spent a lot of time creating a master list for all my projects in order to help me organize computer files. And there were a lot. Hey Dragonlings, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Skye. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name SD Hegyes, and today I wanted to talk about creating a master project list. I have been writing for over 20 years and I have a lot of stories. Some are still just ideas running around my head like little bunny rabbits, multiplying like crazy. Some are in various stages of writing. Some are in various stages of editing. Some are published or were once published and are currently not published. I have a lot of story ideas. In fact, I have well over 500. We're getting really close to that 600 mark as we speak. And with over 20 years of writing, I've actually lost some of the stories that I know I've written over the years due to various reasons. Some because they were in notebooks I no longer have, some because of computers just crashing and losing all the data on the hard drives. There are multiple reasons why I don't have all of the story ideas that I have written over the years. However, even if I don't have the story idea itself in a physical format, I'd still have the idea. And I needed a way to organize these ideas. And there are multiple reasons for that as well. Some of it is that I had titles change, and with me tracking word counts and like how long I've been working on different projects, if a title changed and I didn't have some kind of organization to keep up with what the title used to be, yeah, sometimes I have some of the stories I have like, I don't know when I wrote this. I have no record of it whatsoever. I could tell you a general year maybe, and it's still like best guess kind of thing. And then the other thing is that I didn't know how to organize my files, especially since I had them in too many locations. I had files on my laptop, I had files on my desktop, I had files in like Google Drive, Dropbox, I had them on flash drives and external hard drives. Heck, I even had some in my email inbox where I typed them and sent them to my email. And then of course, like any writer that I know, there was story ideas and story like bits, seeds, drafts in notebooks, old notebooks, and I've still got tons of those. So I had story ideas and plots and everything in between in too many locations. And on top of that, because there were so many files in so many locations, I had duplicates. And sometimes it wasn't like duplicates of the same file, it was duplicates one is older than the other and I have no idea which one is which. Or like duplicates where I changed the title name and because of the name change, this one actually might be a newer draft than this one, but then I suddenly started working in this one forgetting that this one existed kind of thing. Like, I needed a way to organize my files so that I could find them so much easier, have them all in one location, and even if they weren't in one location, I would have some way of like finding them much easier. So that was why I needed to put a new system in place where I have all of my projects listed out and I could add to it whenever I wanted in a much easier way whenever a new idea came to me. Or like in the case of what I found some recently when I was starting to do this project, I found story ideas I'd completely forgotten about that I need to add to the list. So I started working on putting this list together and it's taken me a long time. At this point, I think it's been almost a year and I have just finished it to the point where it's at. And even now it's not finished. I still have details to add, and I guarantee you as I am packing up stuff and putting stuff away and digitizing files, I will either come up with more ideas or I will find ideas that I forgot about that were hidden in locations I didn't think to check. So more to come on that basically. Currently I have over 500, pretty close to 600 story ideas, and this time next year that might double. I don't know. Hopefully not, but it's a possibility. In order to start this organization project, I needed to know all of my story ideas. And what I tried to do is I started with a spreadsheet using Google Sheets because it's free and I had access to it. Now, there are some things that I know can be done with Google Sheets, but I don't know how to do them in Google Sheets. I do know how to do them in Excel, but I don't have access to Excel without paying for a subscription. And if you've been around my channel for a while, you know I hate subscriptions. So I'll take the free version. So I started making a spreadsheet in Google Sheets, and what I wanted was that I wanted a list of all of my projects, and the information I wanted was date with at least the year. Better if I had the month, and even better if I had like a day. When I was handwriting projects, I will put the date that I start on an idea at the top corner, so that was easy to find. But with having so many project files moved to various places, and some of them were like new copies of old files, and the old files were deleted and stuff like that, I don't have exact dates for everything. Sometimes it was kind of like, I think this is when I came up with this idea, but I wanted at least to have a year listed. Then the other thing I needed obviously was the project title. I needed to have whether it was part of a series or a collection. I needed to have, if it was part of a larger universe where there was multiple series in this one world, I needed to have the universe listed. I wasn't caring so much about the series number at first. This came later. Right now, all I was trying to do was get the information. And then the last piece of information, again, I didn't really need it, but it was helpful. So that as I was finding story ideas, I would be like, okay, did I add this one already? And that is a 1-sentence description. So date with at least the year, better if it was a full date. Project title, whether it was part of a series or collection, what universe it was from, if it was from one, and a 1-sentence description of the project. That was the only thing I really needed for this spreadsheet to get the information, because my goal was to get the information, get every project that I could find on all spaces listed out, and then I could organize it from there. After I had all this organization in my spreadsheet, I realized that Google Sheets was not going to do what I needed to do. Yes, I could organize it in a specific order, but if I ever had to add information, I would have to reorganize it again. And I would have to do this every time I added something, because otherwise it would just put what I added to the very bottom of the list or the very top of the list, depending on where I was inputting it. And then I would have to manually reorganize it using their sort and filter features, which just got to be a pain in the butt. So, and then there was other details I wanted to start adding to projects, such as like notes about the story to kind of like remind me of what the idea was, especially if it was a much older idea and I was like, I don't know what this title is or what this story is about, and the 1-sentence description is not helping me. So I switched to Notion. I am a very big proponent of Notion. I am not sponsored, so no worries there. I would love to be sponsored, so Notion, if you hear me, we could make a deal. But anyways, I switched to Notion to create my list, and I started adding more features to my list so that I could, have more details for each of these projects. And that is something I'm still working on to this day, and why it's like complete but not actually complete, because there are still things I want to add to my files in this list. But in Notion, it was easier for me to organize everything, as I mentioned before, because they had those auto filters and sorts that even if I add a new project, it would automatically sort it where it belonged. And then the other thing I really like about Notion is that I can open projects as pages and add notes and publishing details straight into the file without going to some other external program like I would have had to with Google Sheets, because I would have had to turn the title or some part of the spreadsheet into like a link to go to an external place. Whereas Notion, I could just open up in a new page where I was already putting the information anyways. So it worked out. In Notion, I was actually keeping track of a lot more things than I was with the spreadsheet. I had to put a number idea. This was for file organization. This will come in handy later when I started organizing the files on my computer. I was using this based on the date I had collected for the spreadsheet, and basically I actually had help with this, because originally what I was going to do was I was just going to do like number 1 through whatever. And as I was putting the spreadsheet together, I was organizing them by, like, if it was a series, even if I came up with the story idea much earlier or much later, I would try to group those series together. The problem with that idea is that if I suddenly get a story idea later and I'm like, I want to add it to a series that already exists, it's no longer grouped with that series. And I don't know why, but my brain was just like, we can't have that. That does not work. So I was actually on a Discord call with Jess one day. So shout out to Jess for this idea. I thank you so much, because I was overthinking it, and she was finally like, hey Skye, what if you tried this? And she suggested doing the year and then a number based on when I think it was written, or if I had the actual information of when it was written, like the number it was written in. Like, say I wrote something in March of 2026, and then I have another file that I write in like February 2025. Actually, let's just use both of them in 2025. So March and February, the February one would be labeled as 2025 number 1, and then the one in March would be 2025 number 2, kind of thing. So something like that. I did end up taking this idea and rolling with it, which has made the organization so much easier, because there were some story ideas that I came up with years ago that are just now being put into series now, because I'm like, oh, that would work for XYZ series. So thank you, Jess. I really appreciate that. You got my mind out of that slog, which was like really making me stutter. I don't know what it was about numbering them and the fact that the series would be together, except if I came up with a new title to add to the series. It just, now my brain doesn't care, because it's like, it's not organized that way, Skye. It's organized by the year the idea was created. So much easier. Thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. So number ID, which was used for the organization. It consists of the year, whatever year it was written. So something written this year would be 2026. And then I have dot, and then it's a number 001, 002, 003, based on when the idea came into conception. That said, anything where I was like, I don't remember when I came up with the story idea, I just remember the year it came out, those are probably in like alphabetical order and then numbered based on that. There was nothing I can do about that. I don't have details anymore. It's 20 plus years of writing, 500 plus files. There's a lot. But that made it so much easier. So number ID, which is used for the organization, the year it was created, which is separate for a different type of organization, or for me to filter stuff where I'm like, I know I came up with this story idea in such and such year. The status, like if I'm drafting, whether it's an idea, it's put on the back burner, I'm actively working on it, published, unpublished, stuff like that. The project or the title, which can change, which is why I wanted that file organization number, that number ID, so that even if the title changes, I've got that number ID to find the project later. Whether it was part of a series or collection, when I put it in this file organization, I also cared about what number it was in the series. So again, if I can sort it, I can sort it by the number it is in the series. I have if it belongs to a universe or not, and what universe it is part of, if it is part of a universe. I have the 1-sentence description, as always. I really like the idea of the 1-sentence description. It gives me a rough idea of what the story is going to be about as I'm writing it, and it just works out. Then I have song. I have started recently, or as I'm writing stories, I will put one song on repeat while I'm working on the story, and it just helps me get my brain into focus, lock in on that particular story, and get more words out faster. So anytime I pick a specific song for a story, I drop it in there. Otherwise, I'm listening to the same song on repeat no matter what. There are some songs that make my mind go brr, and yeah, I'll listen to that song and I'll add that song. And if it's got multiple songs for that reason, I will add multiple songs. I haven't had that happen yet though. And the last thing I started adding recently, thanks to Laura Nettles asking like how many words people have written in their entire lifetime, I was like, ooh, I don't know, let's find out. So I added word count. And the word count is not accurate because again, different stories are in different statuses, and anything that I might have done a little bit of brainstorming, but I still consider it as an idea instead of actively working on it. Even if I put some words into the story, I don't count those as like having words, so they're sitting at 0, even if I have done some like brainstorming on them. I was only counting word count for like actual drafts, published words if they've gotten that far, edited words if they've gotten that far. And as I continue going, I will have to update all of these. The eventual goal is to publish all these stories or get them to some kind of status that I'm happy with. And when I do, I want to make sure I have the final word counts for these different projects. I have that word count there so I can see. And as of this recording, I have over 2 million words written. Again, it's not completely accurate, and this is across 20 years worth of writing. But it's fun to know. That is what I've been working on for like over a year now. I've been creating this master project list so I can have a whole list of projects and I can see what I am working on, what status they're in, and I can easily find projects if I change the title. There are a couple stories. I actually have 2 series published right now, and one of them I will be eventually unpublishing so that I can rewrite them and put them closer to my current writing style, because my writing style has changed since those 2 were published, and then I can publish the final 2 books in that series. And when I do, they are going to get a rebranding with new covers and a new series title to match the universe that they're going to be in. And then I have another series that I have changed the titles to. I haven't changed the series title, but I do want to change the series title actually, because I've never been happy with the series title. It just kind of worked. But I want to change the series title, and I also want to change the individual titles. And again, that will get a cover upgrade when I do that. That's far down the road though. We're not worried about that. There you have it. That's what I've been working on recently, and I have finally finished it. So I wanted to tell you guys about it. And yeah, if you have any further questions about how I've organized this, or you would like to see a tour of what I have, I don't know if I still have the spreadsheet. If I do, I will include kind of a clip of me scrolling through that to kind of show you what I was doing with it. And then if I don't, I will include a clip of me scrolling through my Notion to show you what it kind of looks like. So yeah, if you'd like a more detailed video going into depth of what the Notion pages look like, because as I'm adding stuff to them, because I mentioned that I can add more details and stuff, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, there you have it. That's what I've been doing for my master list and why I've been doing it. It has made organizing my files so much easier. I now actually have all my files organized on my computer. Again, I'll show you like a screenshot of that if you're interested in checking that out. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, but now it's gonna be so much easier as I get new story ideas to add them to my files so that I can keep track of them, even if the titles change. So, especially since sometimes I don't have a title, I just have like a keyword that I use for in place of the title until I have an actual title. This will make it so much easier to keep up with things. So there you have it. That's what I've been working on, master project list. Anyways, if you've made it this far in the video, feel free to share a filing cabinet emoji and let me know, do you know how many projects you've created over the years? And if so, how do you organize all your files and projects so that you can keep up with them? I'd be interested to hear your answers in the comments below, and until next time, I will see you all later. Bye, Dragonlings.